Welcome back, friends. So as you just saw, we finished up welding the roof rack. It's all done, all put together. There's a few welds here and there that I need to go grind down and redo. I'm just a little rusty. I'm getting back into it. So this was a nice project to kind of show me where my skills are lacking. And they're definitely lacking in some spots. Anyway, honestly though, I think the roof rack is turning out really good. I really like this. It looks so much cooler like this. And I can tell you there's a lot more functionality here. Because the bars are every 4 inches, there's going to be a lot more lashing points, and then when you put something on the roof like a fuel can or firewood, the chances of it falling through the cracks are going to be a lot less. And on top of that, you get more lashing points, and on cases like a fuel can, you're not going to be teetering on one bar. When I had jerry cans on this thing and I put a jerry can, it was a really weird like spacing on the bars, and things would kind of balance on one bar oddly and just barely touch the next. But now since everything is 4 inches all the way across, every 4 inches there's a bar, no longer will that happen. I doubt I'm putting something smaller than 4 inches on this thing. So that's really nice. I'm really excited to put into practice. But first we need to go ahead and create all the mounts and get the solar panel mounted on and get it all roughed in. And then I can really show you in practice what my idea is, and hopefully it all works out. Fingers crossed that this idea actually works, because we both know that not all my ideas do. So let's get into it. All right, so here we are. We have everything kind of mocked up. This is how I want the panel to sit. This is the passenger side, this is the driver's side rear corner, and I want it on this side because there's actually a little access port on the TJs to get the wiring inside. So I want the panel back here in this corner. But what are we going to do to make this thing hinge? So here's what I thought. I thought I'd take some of this plate steel. It's actually just flat bar, 1/8 inch flat bar, and weld it about here like this. And then I was going to take some hinges that I have and put them on there. So let me bring you in here closer. Let me show you what it looks like, and I'll show you the exact hinges that I have. Quick change of plans. So I was staring at these hinges, and my original plan here, like I said, was to put a piece of flat bar here, weld a piece of flat bar vertically like that, throw the hinge on it and call it good. But me being me, something just didn't sit right with me, thinking that flat bar, this piece of flat bar up like that, would hold for a length of time. So what I did is I went in my backyard and I found these pieces of C-channel I have from a previous trailer project. Shout out if you can figure out what project this is from or what trailer frame these are from. But essentially they're C-channel pieces that I cut off, and they end up fitting the width of these hinges perfectly. So what I think I'm going to do now is I'm just going to weld these in place, bolt the hinges to this, and then bolt the panel to these hinges. And I think this is going to be a lot stronger. It's C-channel. They end up being the perfect height, funny enough. And I'm going to run 2 of them, one down here and then one up here, obviously. So I think that's the route we're going to go now. I'm still going to have to put a piece in between here. I'm going to make it, flush, so it's not sticking up, not protruding. But so you're going to have to put a piece between here in order for this C-channel to weld to properly, something like that, just to get everything to sit right and be where it should. So here we are on the side of the roof rack. This is where our latch is going to go. I'm thinking right about here, but I need to actually measure to get the right distance because I want to put it right in the middle. And so for our latch, I had one option, and then I just found another one today that we'll go over. But here's my first option. This is a marine grade latch, they call it. I think it's for your outdoor cabinets on a boat. I don't really know. I'm not really a sailor, so I wouldn't know how to use these things. But honestly, I think marine grade is fancy for heavy duty chrome plating. That's honestly what I think it's for on Amazon, at least. I think that's what marine grade means. But the latch is kind of neat the way it works. Essentially, you have 2 pieces here, just like any latch, I suppose. This has just got a hook in it, and this guy has got, it's like a piece of pipe, essentially. And what happens is this guy comes in here, comes down and latches. And I like the way it latched. And in theory, I thought it was a good idea, also because that hole is in there. You can run a safety pin. This came with it. A safety pin through it so this can't accidentally come unlatched. I thought that was fantastic. I guess you could run a padlock or something else through there if you really wanted to be a little bit more secure. Not really sure it's necessary, but you could do that. However, there was one issue with this latch, and that is when you're installing it. So one thing about a panel like this mounted to this cage or to this basket is that there's no tension in the system. There's no rubber mounts or anything to cushion anything and give some resistance. And because this isn't a tension style mount, what I fear is that there's going to be rattle between either the latch or the panel and the rack. And as you guys know, I hate rattles. So I'm concerned about that. And me being a professional home mechanic, I'm not exactly sure I'm professional enough to get this in the exact spot that I need it with enough tension to stop all the rattles. I guess I could put rubber feet on the bottom of that, which would fix my issue if I could find them. But I'm just not sure. I'm not sure this is going to work anymore, though I haven't decided yet. So option B is this guy. I just found it at my Tractor Supply. I was there this morning. I thought, now that is probably what I really need. This is essentially one of those like rubber clamps. You see them on like Yeti coolers. This is a smaller version, and I think it'll be just fine. But I thought, well, now if I take this, because it's rubber and flexy, it'll have tension built into it. And if I took this little guy and I just screwed that right on there, and then screw this guy right in here, or bolt it, whether I don't want to use screws, I'm going to use bolts, and bolt that guy in there, then I'll be able to really, pull some tension on it and pull it down, and that'll help prevent this from rattling and jumping around. So I think this is probably going to be the best solution. It's also cheaper, and as far as I'm aware, you can buy them at any Tractor Supply, and I could just carry a spare, and it'd be easy to swap this out if anything ever happened to it, and then also be easy and cheap to buy a spare if I ever need it or break the spare that I have. Easy to get a hold of is what I'm saying. So I think this is probably the route we're going to go, but I'll have to do some thinking on it still. For now, though, let's go ahead and get the latches installed. We've got to get that whole side welded up, you get the latches installed and screwed in and everything lined up, and then we'll get this guy going and see how everything turns out. Oh yeah, check it out. My skills are starting to return. Just a little bit. Cool. Alright, so I think we're going to have to stop here, and the reason being is these latches. Now, this little marine latch dealio that I showed you guys, I'm not too thrilled with using that at all. Just the fact that it has no way to add tension to the system or whatever. I don't like it. I know it's going to rattle, and I know being a professional DIYer, I'm not going to get that on right. So that latch is not going to be good for this application. And then the other one that I showed you, this one from Tractor Supply, I do like it, but my dad stopped by and took a look at the project, and he mentioned one word, and that was wind. And I looked at him puzzled, and then I realized he was talking about when you drive down the highway, only having one of these latches is probably not such a good idea. One may not hold the latch down, and two, if you get a strong enough gust, it could break this latch because it's kind of on the weaker side, I'll say. And if it broke one and you don't have a second one there would be no redundancy, and then your panel will be flopping around in the wind, which would be bad news. So I am going to install 2 latches instead of 1. It's just better to have redundancy. But I don't know that I'll use this specific one, only because I think it's a little weak. I want something a little more robust. So I got to get online and take a look and see what latches we can order for it. I want to stick with the rubber latch because I said it's going to add a little bit of spring tension in there, or rubber, or whatever you call it. But it's going to keep things from rattling, I think. That's the plan anyway. So those 2 will go back, and I will take a look at ordering something else. Maybe some type of tractor hood latch or something might do it. I think that's going to be the best route. So we'll go ahead and stop here. We will get it completely finished up in the next video and get it on the Jeep, I'm hoping. We gotta, I'll do the work to clean it up and make sure we're ready to paint and all that stuff, because I'm excited to get this on the Jeep. Also, we're gonna move the lights that were on the rack. I'm gonna take them. Well, I did take them off, but I'm not gonna put them back on. Instead, I think we're gonna build a wind deflector to go on the rack, or I'll look at buying one from Garvin. But I think I'm gonna build one. They don't look too hard to build, so I think we'll look at doing that. And obviously, we'll do that together. So. And simpler tools, I mean, welder probably, but I don't have a plasma torch or anything, so we're just not going to use it. Anyway, so wind deflector I think would be a good idea on the rack. I think it'll help out a lot. And then the other thing, I'm in love with how this rack is turning out, honestly. Really, this is how Garvin, if you're listening, your TJ and LJ racks should have been built like this from the beginning. Only providing 7 or 8 bars or whatever it was with like 10 inches of gap in there is just silly. I don't care how many bars I have. Just make it so the gaps aren't so big like I've done here. Give me like a 4-inch spread. I'll figure out how to tie things down. So add more bars to your rack. And also make everything flush. Give me more space in the rack. The rack's only 4 inches tall. Don't give me 3-inch deep rack because one of the bars sits not flush, whatever it is. So yeah, make it all flush. Anyway, some advice there if you're actually looking. They're probably not. But anyway, so the last thing is I think I'm going to build a new overland awning for this thing. In a previous video, I did one where it was a super cheap overland awning. It was just a tarp and some poles. And I have a new version of that for racks specifically in mind. And I think it's kind of cool. It's kind of using hodgepodge pieces here and there that I've picked up. So we'll definitely take a look at that and do that in a future video. Anyway, I promise we'll get this rack done quickly. I know this is kind of starting to drag out, but sometimes when you're a professional DIYer like myself, you just kind of have to work with what you have. And I don't have latches, so I can't work. Anyway, well, that's about it for this video, guys. Thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. Comment, like, subscribe. Let me know what you think about the project, what you would and wouldn't do, and if you like it. And with that, thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.